But first tonight, the U.S. Department of Agriculture gathers data every 5 years on farms throughout the nation. While the most recent results available are from 2012, it showed a small spike in the number of young farmers between the ages of 25 and 34.
Now, according to a spokesperson with the Maine Department of Agriculture, Conservation and Forestry, that positive trend is expected to continue. More and more in Maine, young people are not just taking over a family tradition, they're actually starting new farms on untapped land, and they're finding unique ways of doing so. From the supermarket to the local farmers market, buying local produce is a growing trend.
I think it started with farmers markets and CSAs, and then restaurants have really been on board. But now you see institutions as well just prioritizing local. So I'm just gonna grab this.
That's a market new farmers like Mike Parashow are really digging into. Parashow started Andrews Farm just 5 years ago, but business has been good.
So we'll actually have about 4 times the square footage as we have right now in production.
Maine appears to be fertile ground. While the census shows the number of farms nationwide declining, farms in Maine and New England have increased, and the market value of what they're producing has risen by about 24% in 5 years.
I managed to create a relationship with our school system. It was actually just sort of a last-minute effort to try and move a bunch of peppers that we had one year, and I reached out. I happened to have the contact for the school nutrition director, and was able to move just a huge surplus of sweet peppers that we had.
Parashow also delivers farm shares to more than 20 homes in the area, including recipes to try using his produce.
I see the most potential for growth coming from wholesale and some of these other relationships with like institutions, and you know, it just helps to be diverse and have an array of marketing outlets in case one falls through one year.
When I was a kid, if you asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up, I said a farmer.
In Bodenham, Ian Gerelmack found his own niche 8 years ago.
In my first year, I approached a couple restaurants in Brunswick, and they were so enthusiastic, and there wasn't enough stuff. And I don't think that's true now. I think it would be a little harder to break into that.
Even then, it was a lot of work. Gerelmack says about a third of farming is marketing his product and himself. Now, twice a week, he delivers fresh vegetables to 40 restaurants in Portland, developing personal relationships with chefs and owners like Guy Hernandez of Lolita.
Or local, for me, has always been to buy from people I know. He's watched our kids grow up, and we buy his products and trust him.
Hernandez finds out what's fresh and available from the farm and makes adjustments to the menu based on that.
Any chance you have any spinach?
Yeah, I have some spinach. I thought you forgot to ask for spinach.
And from Lolita to Blue Spoon across the street and many other foodie spots within the city, these deliveries are the true epitome of farm to table.
This probably will be in ravioli at Solo Italiano tomorrow night. That's pretty cool. Yeah.
To keep these sales going, farmers have had to get creative, using tunnels covered in plastic, creating the illusion of a warmer climate for these crops.
It's kind of been an experiment these last 2 years of what can survive a whole winter, what's better planted in the spring.
From a muddy field in Bodenham to a snow-covered hill in Gardner, each farmer has his own climate to battle.
So in some cases I'm snowshoeing up here on a sunny day to vent the tunnel so it doesn't overheat.
But harvesting leafy greens through the winter makes a farm more marketable.
It's actually easier to get into winter farmers markets as a produce farmer than summer. So that is a niche that I've been able to take advantage of.
Nationwide, experts warn we are entering a difficult time for agriculture based on rising expenses and low prices for commodities like soy and wheat. But in Maine, there's a certain resiliency as farms continue to grow and new farmers bring fresh ideas to the table.
Okay, you really have to be passionate to be a farmer, because can you imagine trudging up a snow-covered hill 3 times a day just to make sure the crops are okay?
I'm not sure I would be doing that. You're right. They really have to love what they're doing. I go out to get the eggs for my chickens,
Oh, there you go.
Only once a day.
You're kind of a farmer.
I'm kind of a mini farmer.
By the way, information for the next Census of Agriculture is actually being put together right now. While it studies a 5-year period, it takes about a year to put all of the facts together.
John Bott, the Director of Communications with the Maine Department of Agriculture, Conservation and Forestry, says they're expecting good news for Maine's farmers.
So we'll take that.